If you're struggling with taste changes around treatment, whether it's through chemotherapy, radiation, or one of the medications you're on, I want to talk a little bit about some things that you can do right now to help out. Everyone has different tastes. We all perceive taste a little bit different. And when there is something that has happened in your mouth that has changed that, your food isn't going to always taste the way you're used to it. And so you're going to want to make those modifications when you're sitting down with your bowl, with your plate right there. You can't necessarily depend on someone else to make these changes, and you probably don't want to do it for an entire recipe. See where your mouth is at right now. The first thing I ask people to do is rinse your mouth with a mild saline rinse, a little bit of salt water, baking soda. That is a great place to start. It really cleans your mouth and it puts your mouth in a position where you're going to be able to taste maybe a little bit better. And if you've gone through taste changes, even slight changes in taste can really impact and make a difference in your enjoyment of the food. So I am sitting here right now with a dish, and if I were tasting this dish and it seemed a little bit too sweet to me, one thing I might do is have some lemons on hand and squeeze a little bit of lemon juice into it. That lemon juice is going to cut down on the sweet flavor that you're tasting. Same thing goes for foods that seem a little bit too salty. Start with lemons. Start with something acidic like this. Lemon can cut down on that salty flavor. Start having in front of you a plate of some lemons is a great way to make some quick modifications to what you're eating. The next thing I might do is have some salt, a salt shaker, or in this case, I have just a little dish. If the foods that you have in front of you are tasting a little bit bitter, start with adding something sweet. You don't necessarily have to add sugar. In this case, I have maple syrup. You could use honey, you can use an agave nectar, but that sweetness will help cut down on the bitterness that you're tasting. I would stir it around and just taste it and see if that helps. If the food has kind of a metallic taste, that's another, especially with chemotherapy, that's another problem you might have with tasting foods. Again, use something sweet to start with and see if that helps. Also, you may want to use everything in your little pack. You might want to, play with the sweetness. You might want to play with the lemons or limes and with the salt. So this is sort of your chemistry experiment in front of you. And there are little ways, like I said, that can help with any of these. If what you're going through is experiencing sort of a cardboard taste, in other words, you're not really tasting anything, salt might be a great place to start. Add a little bit of salt to the food. Just start with a little bit at a time, mix it in and see if that helps. If it doesn't, move on to something else. You're going to want to just use a little bit of each of these, but this is kind of a starter place for working with enhancing the flavors. And this isn't just when you're in treatment. This could go on for months out of treatment as well, unfortunately. So if you're someone who's quite a ways past your treatment, but you're still not tasting things quite right, please give this a shot and also look up your local oncology dietitian and see if they have other suggestions to help you.